Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm literally just going to jump right into this tutorial. We're going to start by cutting our strips. I don't know why, but I ended up making all of my strips 1.25 inches. You could probably do anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inches wide, but yeah, I did 1.25 inches for every single strip. So I'm just showing you how I'm doing that here. I used a very stiff ruler and a rotary cutter. Honestly, that made it so easy for me. This this rag rug was super time consuming. I think it turned out really cute. It's smaller than I thought it would be. It takes a lot of scraps and a lot of time, but this tutorial and making a rag rug is seriously super easy. Like, besides time consuming it just is so easy, and any beginner sewer can do this project. As long as you know how to braid and how to do a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine, you can do this. You could obviously go for a color scheme, but I just went with literally every color of the rainbow and stuck it in bags so I could, I don't know, sort of create a system. So here I matched 3 pieces together and tied a knot at the end. I went with red, orange, and a cream, and I'm kind of just going to like add on to the rainbow as I go. So like red, orange, add yellow, add green, add blue when I run out of pieces. So I stuck a safety pin in the knot, and I just safety pinned it to the top of my cutting board or whatever this is called to secure it and have something I could kind of tug on while I'm braiding. And then you literally just braid away. And then I ran out of my cream material, so it's time to add a new color. Went with yellow according to theme, so I place it on top of it and then just sort of fold it into the other piece. You really gotta hold on to it though, because it could very easily just slip out. So yeah, and then you just start braiding it in, and it literally is so fast and so easy. There's a lot of other techniques like sewing the fabrics to each other or knotting them, but honestly they're too time consuming, so I decided to just fold them together, and it worked really well. Then I ran out of red, so I went ahead and started to add green to the mix. The braids started to get pretty long, so I decided to take the safety pin out, move it to my new spot, and replace it. So, you know, I had more to pull against, and then you literally just keep braiding and braiding and braiding. It takes a really long time. I think I spent probably like cutting everything and braiding everything and sewing everything probably took me like at least 10 hours, maybe more. After braiding for what seems like the rest of your life, you'll start to develop a lot of braid. So I just rolled it into a ball and got ready to sew it together. So you just saw there, I placed the top of the knot under my foot and sewed across just so we could cut that knot off and get rid of the bolt. You can start your braid off this way, I just decided not to. So after cutting off the knot, I went ahead and sort of folded it. You can see I folded it really small, maybe like 3/4 of an inch I folded, and then I set my sewing machine to the largest zigzag stitch, and I just zigzagged those two edges together. This is honestly the hardest part of the whole thing, just holding these two little pieces together and starting out your circle. But then I sort of got a hang of it, so I started to just sort of curl the braid around itself like a swirly or whatever. Just make sure as you're going that the needle is going into both sides of the braid. This project takes a lot of scraps, a lot of time, but also I didn't realize this, but it takes a lot of thread. I think I used probably 3 spools of thread, and it's not even really done. I wanted to make it a lot bigger. I just ran out of scraps. So it takes a lot of thread. You want to make sure that as you are sewing, you are keeping your circle super flat. You guys, I also made a huge mistake, and I had to unpick my entire circle, and that was pulling the string too tight, or pulling the braid too tight, and it made it warp really bad. You can tell here how bowl-like it is when it's a rug. It's supposed to be flat. So I tried fixing it by ironing it. I thought that, you know, it's fabric, we can mold it and make it work, but ironing it did not help. So I unpicked it and started over. This time, instead of holding the braid and pulling it towards the circle, I guided the braid just with my finger so that I wasn't pulling it all. I was hardly touching it. It was just to make sure that the two edges were touching. This method worked so much better, and the warping went down so much. It did still warp a little bit, still figuring that out, but yeah, it helped a lot. So literally you do not want to hardly touch it, because any stretching of that braid will warp the rug so much. And then, as you can see, the rug got huge, and I had to move my process to the ground so the rug had more room to grow. I also decided to switch my thread to serger thread because I have tons of it, and so I decided to do that. After finishing my little rug, I still had some warping, so I left it on the ground and packed a bunch of heavy stuff on it overnight, hope that it would help to flatten it out, and it did help a lot, but it was still sort of warped. So I sat down and ironed it one more time, and I think it did help a little bit. The rug is still pretty warped, not too bad, but I think with use it will flatten, and eventually I'll probably add on to it as well. It's not really as big as I hoped it would be. Honestly, I hoped it would be like 5 feet all the way around, like circumference wise, but I kind of ran out of patience, ran out of most of my scraps, so I decided I'll add on to it another day. And the great thing is that you can totally do that. I just sort of tucked the remaining braid underneath with a safety pin so it couldn't come all undone, and I'll totally add onto it one day, and that'll be so fun and satisfactory. I was also thinking it might have been fun to turn it into like a throw pillow too. You could just make 2 smaller, circles with it, and then sew it and stuff it, and it would make a really cute throw pillow. Definitely not a comfy one, but it would be super cute. I love how this turned out though, and I love the colors, and I'm definitely going to add on to this. I'm so excited to decorate my room with it one day once it is a little bit bigger. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. I love all of the support, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.